Hey, hey, you see,
Hi.
okay, we're live officially.
Amazing. Amazing technology. Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How about you?
I'm amazing. I mean, we're live. Remember last year how much like
Yeah,
we
I do.
suffered with this?
Yes, yes, I do. It's some long-lasting memories were formed that day. So definitely.
And we were so persistent, right? Like we tried
Yes.
hard. We
We
were
used to
like,
do like 2 or 3 times and then it didn't work. And then we were like, okay, fine, we'll just upload the recording. And then the recording got lost.
yeah.
And then we had to do the same thing again.
Oh my God, I totally forgot about I blocked that from my memory. Like we actually recorded the whole thing and then I lost it. Let's just be honest. I lost it.
So
um
I'm gonna go with the story that Zoom lost it.
yes, no, this is amazing. Zoom, good job, Zoom. You're doing a good job. So
Also, yeah, I mean, seriously, Zoom, like a great job throughout 2020. You're a real one.
yeah, you did some heavy lifting for us all.
For sure.
So those of you who are watching live, you can say hi to us and interact with us. So basically, the last, I want to say 4 years, you and I, me and UC have, I'll let you introduce yourself in a second, UC, but we've done these end of year reviews. And it's basically, to me, become this kind of tradition of like, feeling into the end of year vibes and thinking about all the things we've learned, because 2020 has been an especially abundant year of learnings. And then also setting the tone and setting the intention for next year. And we're going to talk about words of the year and just learnings and just chat. It's a very informal conversation. But yeah, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, UC, so that yeah, people know who you are.
Yes. So, as Cynthia said, I'm Juci, and I'm a tech VA and Memberable certified partner. And I basically just help creatives deal with all their tech and the strategy aspects of their business so they can focus on creating more and doing what they actually love doing, which is probably not fiddling with the tech.
Yeah. UC is my tech genius. I work with her on well, I have one client right now with her, and she actually studied like real statistics. You know, like I'm the web analytics expert, but then UC actually has like a master's in statistics and whatever else. I can't remember, something else too. You're studying still, right?
Well, I'm a PhD.
Oh my God,
And
so exciting.
and you're gonna love this. Just last week, I think it was last week. I don't know. It's all a blur now. But I just took another statistic class. It was
Of
like a
course.
week-long thing. Yeah. So,
That's so cool. Yeah. I haven't. I mean, I don't know, maybe I should or maybe I shouldn't, but what I know now is enough for me to help my
yeah.
clients. So, yeah. Okay. So, why don't we start with like 2020 reflections? And if I can't remember, I think you picked a year, but you picked a word. But if you didn't or you don't want to mention it, that's fine too. But yeah, 2020 reflections. What are your like, there's so much to say, but like, what are your thoughts? I feel
So
like
where do you even start with this topic? Like, what the hell was 2020?
yeah,
I don't know. I do
yeah.
think I picked the word because you kind of forced me to do it every year, but then I forget
I
it
forced
every
you.
year. Yes. Every year we do this reflection, and then you're just asking like, so what's your year of the word? I'm like, I don't know, and then I pull something out of my butt, and I forget it by, I don't know, January 15th. But I think it was probably thrive.
I need to
I'm
write
not
them down
sure.
so that I can remind you at the end of each year what they were.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think it was thrive. Maybe, yeah. And I don't know, just I feel like 2020 was such a weird year in so many aspects, and my life has changed tremendously
Hmm.
because I mean, maybe nobody knows that, but I actually moved from Hungary to Denmark 2 weeks before lockdown happened, and I haven't been able to like go home since then. So there's just this whole weird thing of like moving countries and then starting. Yeah, and I started my PhD in March. Obviously, that's why I moved, and this just compounded by this whole corona situation and all the craziness that happened this year. It was such a learning experience that I think it was in some ways very valuable actually.
Yeah.
I i wouldn't want another year like that, but it was kind of, you know, a learning experience for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for a lot of us, there are things like it's such a unique situation. Like we've not like no one's been in a pandemic before, at least no one that I know.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
so we're like in this really unique situation, and we're being forced to do things that we wouldn't normally do. And it's kind of also an opportunity to like innovate and be creative in ways that you wouldn't normally think of being, right? Because you're in this completely unique situation. So I think
Yeah.
on one side it was like obviously it's bad, it's a hardship, but on the other side it created like new opportunities and just new ideas and ways of thinking and seeing things. And it's like a lot of things have been broken, but a lot of things have been born out of that like brokenness almost. um and so I think that's exciting to some extent, because
Yeah,
sometimes things need to be broken in order to reinvent them, right?
for sure.
You can't always go to where you want to go from the same place, right?
Yeah,
um
and I feel like this was also just, you know, how a lot of businesses were sort of forced to go online. And I feel like that is also very valuable because some of them might will probably go back to like offline and whatnot, but just to see that there's this online world out there and you can, you know, make even a bigger difference. I think that's also just a pretty valuable thing that might have
yeah.
come out of this for some.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think for me, one of the biggest things that was impactful is where I live. Like, so I live in Argentina, like close to the capital, but I live outside the city. So I'm in kind of like a smaller city. And before, like, we had these kind of like Uber Eats, like there's a local like Uber Eats kind of brand.
Yeah.
And it was horrible. Like you would order something and it would maybe arrive like 2 hours later. And it was kind of like, okay, I ordered it, but I don't know if it's going to get here. Right. And I remember one time, I ordered something with a friend who was here and we didn't want to go out and it took like 3 hours. Right. So it was crazy. It was kind of like one of those things. And now that app and that company have grown so much and they're so efficient, and it's
Mm.
done really well because again, like things have changed and people are at home and like people have gotten used to the technology. And so it's kind of this two-sided thing of like on one side these companies are like forced to innovate, but then the user and the buyer is also forced to use
Yeah.
digital more, and so it creates this new demand. And so it's interesting to think about it in that way of like what areas, what sectors have been forced to just invest more money in this because people are online and they're not like walking to the store or like going inside physically.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that to me is like it's amazing, and it's created a lot of jobs. It's created other things, maybe that aren't positive, but I've seen, it created jobs. It I don't know, facilitated a lot of businesses, restaurants that
Mm.
couldn't open up, they could at least do delivery. So yeah, there's like, it's fascinating, right? How that stuff
Yeah.
just happened.
Yeah, 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 definitely.
So my word of the year was, I also had to write it down, but it was finisher. because I am such a good starter. Like I can start a million projects and then I really struggle with finishing them.
Right.
So I was like so determined this year to be a finisher, to like start and finish things and to enjoy the finish, um in that, like, you know, that satisfaction you get from finishing. And I have to say that actually it was really a good year for that, because there was just so much going on, and I actually, you know, it's been the busiest year I've had so far. I broke a lot of records in my business, which is exciting. And so again, it could be this tendency to look for distractions and like start new projects and do new things. And I think I got really good at being like, no, like, you know, I started this project, let's finish it, while still, what I actually realized is like I'm the type of personality that actually has more creativity when I have several balls in the air. So part of
Mm,
it, like I did become a better
right.
finisher, but then the other part
Um,
of it is I became more accepting of the fact
of-
that I just need to start because I'm not figuring things out. It's like I need to figure things out as I go and start and do things.
right. Right.
Um, so so yeah, so that was a really good word for me because I learned a lot, and I'm still bad at finishing, but I'm getting better. um
Right.
and I'm also more accepting that like sometimes you start things and I don't finish them, not because I don't want to, but because the project doesn't resonate, and I'm totally allowed to do that, like obviously not with client
Yeah. Yeah.
work
Yeah.
and that sort of thing, but like if I have, um I don't know, I guess if I like start learning something, or if I I don't know, I start experimenting with new content and then I
Mm,
realize, look, this just doesn't work, like it's like an experiment. I'm totally allowed to be like, okay, I'm just going to leave this here and then maybe in the future I'll finish it, or I'll just do the best I can with this and then publish it as it is.
right.
Um,
Right.
so yeah, so I think that was, it was a good word. And I'm still gonna keep practicing that, honestly, because it's, I think it's a valuable thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. So you will actually love this, but my roommate who moved out just came back,
Oh no.
and it's a yeah, but it's all good.
Okay, you want to invite them to the party?
No, 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 no. He didn't have a word, so he's not.
All right, so let's talk, um maybe let's say like what's been our, like we've reflected a little bit on 2020 and our words, but like
Mm.
what's been like the number one learning from 2020, like one thing that you're like, I'm never going to forget this for the rest of my life.
Oh
Like,
my God.
and this could, I guess, you know, obviously we're talking about business, but it could apply to like life as well, just like general life.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, so but it's something that I have learned this year is to tell my roommate to just text me before he barges in. So that is one.
That's a good one.
Yes, and yeah, just to, get back to the like original program. One thing is just to focus, because I found that even though we had, like so many things that were out of control, and so many things that we weren't able to do, it was like, there were like so many things that I had in mind that I could do, and I should do. And I felt that a lot of the times it was very distracting, because it's like you jump from like this one to this one, and then you realize that this one is not even something that you like to do all that much.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, it's just been this huge like learning opportunity for me to just really dare to say that, okay, so this type of work I don't really like to do,
Yeah.
and then maybe I won't.
Yeah. I love that. Wow. That's like powerful, like deciding. And that could even be like the clients you choose to work with or how you choose to spend your free time too. Like, what do
Yeah,
I actually want to do?
exactly, exactly.
Yeah, discerning. I think 2020 cut out a lot of like the crap of like it's like the normal things that we like our routine. And it's like, oh, suddenly I'm at home all the time and like I have all this free time, but like, what do I actually want to do? And so it's like, okay, I'm not going to kid myself anymore. I just actually hate like this thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm going to like
exactly.
do the thing that I want to do. Um, that's good. Yeah. For me, kind of similar is that I started taking more time off in 2020. Up until now, I've been working pretty hard on my business, full days, sometimes weekends. And this is the first year that I've intentionally taken like long, not just like vacation, but like time off during the week.
Mm,
Before I just kind of like work until kind of like someone interrupts me or I have to eat or whatever, right? And now it's like, no, like I have boundaries.
yeah,
And what's been crazy is that this year, I don't know if this applies to all years of business, but this year, I would say that because I took that time off, my business grew a lot. So it's like this common theory that we have of like the more I work, the more opportunities I get and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, that's a lie. Like, it's totally a lie. Like, it's the smarter you work, the more strategic, the more you enjoy things. Like, when people see
yeah,
that you're happy and that you love what you do and you're showing up full of energy, that sells. Like, that's attractive. And it's like kind of like people want to not buy that. Sounds weird, but they want to be near that. Right. So, if you
yeah,
like take care of yourself in that way, whatever that means, because different people have different thresholds of work, and different people have different, like, some people have kids, some people have PhDs, some people have like different things happening. But like whatever your like balance of like work and like life and other things is, finding that like ratio that
yeah.
feels good so that when you are working it's fully like at your full capacity and that you're also enjoying the time off. So basically I got a life in 2020.
Amazing way to put it.
Like I love my business and I love doing it and I find it so fun, but I also started to explore other things and it wasn't easy. Like it doesn't come naturally. I think I'm a recovering kind of workaholic in many ways. And so I'm
Mm,
finding like it's not even that it's more effective to work more, it's actually not beneficial to anybody. So with that logic out of the way, it's like, okay, well, what do I do, what do I want to do, like what's the impact I actually want to have with my business? And like that means that I get to develop other parts of my life too, so that when I show up I'm like showing up fully. So
yeah.
that was like a big one, and it totally surprised me. Like in October I took a 2 weeks off, or almost 2 weeks, and that was my highest revenue month,
Go figure.
right? Yeah. So it's like that logic is just not, it's not true for
No.
for those of you who are like thinking about that. But
Yeah, and now that you said that you started exploring different things, I just, I'm curious, like, did you take up any new hobbies or did you start doing something fun?
well, so at the beginning I'm like a list person. So I'd like, I would take a day off and then I would write a list of things that I feel like doing. But what would happen is that list, especially at the beginning, I'm getting better, but at the beginning, it wasn't really what I want to do, it's like what I should do. So I would still write down things that I don't really want to do, like house things, business
Yeah,
things too, right? Like, and then I slowly started to uncover like, oh, this is what it feels like. You know, when you're a kid and you're like, oh, I just really, that excitement, like that you feel like either around the holidays, like around gifts or like your birthday, like that, like excitement. I was trying to find that in my life.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so it ended up being honestly just doing nothing was very exciting, like just watching Netflix and that sort of thing.
Right.
Video games was another one for me that like,
Oh,
yeah, it's just such a creative space. The only downside of that is like I'm trying to pay attention to screen time, so the only bad thing with watching, you know, something on Netflix or video games is like the screen time is still up, but whatever, it's fine. I'm in the digital world. I can handle it.
yeah.
Um and what else? I don't know. Yeah, just going out, just hanging out, going to read at a coffee shop, like walking around in like a, well, I know it's COVID, so it's a little weird, but when we were able to, like going to a shopping mall outside and like walking around, that sort of
Mm.
thing. But I found it very, very healing to like just allow myself to do whatever I felt like doing. And that's definitely something I'm going to keep practicing in 2021, like time off, and also this intentional kind of questioning and like listening to my body, like what do I really feel like doing right now, like, and just accepting whatever it is. Sometimes it would be like meditation or like journaling and stuff like that, but I find that I already do that a lot in my business, so I don't crave it as much. But
Right.
yeah.
That's pretty nice. So,
Yeah, yeah, it was good. It's good. Okay, so let's talk about 2021. So you have to pick a word.
ay, ay, ay.
You have to pick a
I
word. It's like this is the deadline.
Yes, I know. We're gonna pick it. Don't hurt me, please. I'm just gonna pick the word focus. You
Mhm.
know, because of what I said. Because I realized that I can't really, just work myself to the bone and not pay attention to what I need in terms of like rest and stuff. So that also means that I really need to pick my battles and pick the projects that I take on, and just be more mindful about how I'm spending energy.
Yeah, I love that. Focus. I'm going to write it down so that next year we can.
Yeah,
um,
and then just 2021 December, I'm just gonna send you an email. Cynthia, what was my word?
no, I'll have
Please
to look it
say.
up because I won't remember it either. But yeah, no, no, no. No, it's good. I honestly, to be honest, like I don't like every month I'm not like, okay, what was my word? How I'm gonna, I kind of have it like at the back of my brain and my subconscious, and then, you know, I'll be like, oh right, you know, like that makes sense. But I love it. Focus. So do you feel like that's gonna apply for your studying as well, right? With your PhD.
I do feel like the PhD is something else though, because there it's I mean, I'm not explaining this very well, but there you kind of pick a focus, right? I mean, you pick it together with your supervisor and then you try to dig deep to figure out if there's something there. So I don't feel like that's 100% my choice,
Huh.
if that makes sense. But that's actually not a bad thing,
Yeah.
because obviously my supervisor is like way smarter than I am, obviously. So that's not a question. So like, I can still kind of decide how I want to reach that goal, and what I'm interested in, but it's not a matter of, like nitpicking questions that I like to answer, because it's like this whole picture, you
It's
know.
like a whole structure and you're kind of like
Yeah,
putting in little bits in there.
yeah, yeah. And because your PhD project is inherently yours, it's like you're taking accountability over like everything. So I can't just say that, I don't like the data transformation or whatever, so I'm just going to outsource it.
Right.
because that's not that's not really how that works. So
Yeah.
I think that there it's it doesn't apply all that much, but in business it definitely does.
Well, it sounds like that focus that you, in that structure you get in the PhD is like would be really useful for you in your business almost, because that's, I think a
For
lot of
sure.
us feel so overwhelmed as like, do this, do that, like do social media, do the email, blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, oh my God, like I can't do it all. And then you freeze and then you don't do anything. And then that's the problem for a lot of people is like they don't do anything instead of just like doing a little bit in like one area that they could really
Mm.
impact.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I was actually much better at this year because like I think it was probably around like April or March that I was like, you know what, I'm not, let's just not kid ourselves. I'm not going to do social media because I don't have the energy. But what I can do though is email, which is actually pretty fun to do. And so I've been focusing on that and, you know, just being active. I mean, I guess in a way it is social media to be active in a certain, you know, certain Facebook groups and whatnot, but like not traditional, oh, here's my post, read it and whatever.
yeah.
So yeah, I was actually pretty good at just releasing that need to be on social media because I mean we have been talking for like years now, and you know that I kept saying that, you know, I'm gonna start doing Instagram now for real, and it's never gonna happen, and let's just be super
Yeah.
honest
And I
about that.
totally, like, I believe, like, I've said this to clients before, like, you don't have to do social media. I mean, does it help? Sure. But if it's going to stop you from doing other things, then don't do it. And we know of lots of businesses that run their business without social media. And then there's the flip, like there's people who don't have websites and do it all with on Instagram. So it's kind of like
Yeah,
you get to create your adventure and you don't need to limit yourself. And I just think there's so many places we could find excuses. Like you could have said, oh, well, I'm not doing Instagram, so I'm just going to like just stop everything. But instead you're like, no, but I enjoy email, so I'm going to do that consistently and then hang out. And I've also this year I found amazing traction in Facebook groups as well.
yeah.
And I didn't think I would enjoy it. Like I struggled in the past with Facebook groups, and then
Oh
I
yeah.
found a way like to make it fun for me. And now I'm still working on the consistency piece, but in 2021 I can see that Facebook groups are going to be really big for me.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And they are really good if you're going going in with the mindset that, you know, I don't have to make the sale immediately.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
connect with people.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think it's very important, especially like now, because I feel like it's all about connection now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fascinating how each platform has its vibe. Like when I go on Instagram and interact, it's a very different vibe than like a Facebook group.
Yeah,
And um yeah, I don't know. I guess everything has its place, but
how
okay,
so?
so sorry, were you going to say something?
Yeah. I was just wondering like how do you mean?
Well, to me, like when I go on Instagram, I feel like I need to restrict myself more in many ways because there's so many distractions, right? It's like, ooh, like, you know, I'll be like, oh, this person's doing this. And then like I kind of get down the rabbit hole of their feed and then I lose track of like
Mm,
what I was doing. So I actually have a very strict like routine when it comes to Instagram engagement. I'm not talking about like if I just open the app and it's like it's free time and I just let myself, but even then I set timers because
right, yeah.
I mean, very rarely I just let myself kind of go loose on Instagram because it's just, you know, we all know this. It's designed to be addictive. And so it's kind of like I want to be really intentional. But when I'm doing engagement, I actually have like a really like just step one, step two, step three sort of thing of like what I do. And that feels really different to me than Facebook groups. In Facebook groups, I actually find it's easier to focus. And I find like you, the connections feel a little bit, because you're already in like the container of a group that the person, like whoever the leader is, it's like holding that vibe. You kind of, if you already resonate with that, it's so much easier to be like, okay, this is the group and the people are like this and I vibe with this too. And so at
Yeah.
least I find it's like a lot easier. And actually Instagram, I struggle sometimes for that reason. Like everybody's feed is different, but it can kind of feel like it's all the same, like everybody's.
Yeah. I hear you on that, definitely.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm learning that engagement piece is really important to, like, if you're publishing regularly and if you're doing all your posts and stuff, you need to also engage, right? Like everybody talks about that, but doing it in a way that like you can resonate with what you want. Like, so with Instagram, again, with Facebook groups it's easier, but with Instagram I'm practicing, like before I open up the app, I'm like, okay, what's my intention with
Mm.
this right now? And it's like, okay, I just want to like have some nice conversations with people. And so if I go in thinking about that, then it comes a little bit easier to me than just like going directly into the feed and then just like
Yeah.
consuming whatever is coming up. And it's like, oh, okay, it's like following along.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, I'm not even following that many like business accounts on Instagram because I just stopped using my business Instagram altogether. I just have a personal one where I upload some stuff from life, but I at this point I'm really just following like, you know, designers, but like clothes designers and memes. That's all I have on Instagram, and it's perfectly sufficient for me at this point.
I'm
Like,
following a baby Yoda.
of course, I follow all the baby Yodas. Like, come on.
That's my favorite. Baby Yoda like memes are like, yeah, fun. But yeah, I also actually I started doing like an Instagram follower detox because
Mhm.
it does change, right? When you have people you really connect with, and then you have, sometimes it's not even like, for me the dilemma is always like, I like this person and I resonate with them and I want to support their business, but I don't really resonate with their content sometimes. And so
Right.
it's like, how I want to support you, but I'm not going to follow you. I'm just going to like, so that's always the dilemma for me, because to me when you follow someone, it's like you're giving them like your support. But I'm
Right.
realizing it's my feed, and it's kind of like trying to invite everybody to your party, and it's like, okay, like there's only limited space. Like after you follow more than like 300 people, it just, your feed just gets crazy. Like it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, when you find yourself in a situation where you're just scrolling through all the feed and then you can't really tell if it's from the same person or different people,
Yeah.
that's a bit sketch.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Not,
Yeah, the
not
other thing I was just thinking is like, I wouldn't be offended if like, if you didn't follow me, for example, I wouldn't care. I'm like, so what? Like,
fun.
it's not like, oh no, Yusi's not my friend, you know? So it's kind of like that whole, like, it's almost like a high school mentality. It's like, well,
Yeah,
she's not following me, so she doesn't like me. And I'm realizing, yeah, I don't even look at who I follow or who follows me. So if
exactly.
I unfollow people, they probably don't even know, right?
Exactly. It's like you can't you can't just, you know, go through your followers every single day and then, oh, there's this one person who unfollowed me. Well, that person must hate my guts, and
Yeah.
you know, I shall sit in a corner and think about my life or something. No. And
Yeah.
also just to speak to like, it's also it also very depends on how people are using these social media platforms, I feel like, because if, for example, if I'm not following you on Instagram, I don't actually know if I do. I do think I do. But if I wasn't, that would just be because I'm getting your content on Facebook,
Yeah.
where I go for like this type of information.
Yeah.
But on Instagram, I go for the baby Yoda. That's just what it is. That's what I want to see when I open Instagram. The baby Yoda and the fancy clothes. That's all I want. And yeah,
Yeah, no, I agree. Not everybody goes to Instagram for business stuff. And so someone could not like consciously decide not to follow me on Instagram because they want that baby Yoda feed.
yeah,
But then they might like be on my email list, or they might listen to my
exactly.
podcast, or maybe they are like, wanting to connect, or they're like looking at my content on my in LinkedIn, right? So it's kind of
Mm.
like, yeah, like I guess we totally get to curate our feeds, and it's like our party, and
Yeah,
then
exactly.
and trust that the right people will, who get something useful outside of. And then the other part of all this is like just stopping, not using followers as any sort of success metric. I mean, it is it's one indicator, but it's not the only indicator. And so I'm trying to change my metrics. So for me, like engagement and connection is something that's so important to me. And so I'm trying to, like, as part of wins, it's like, oh, this conversation in Facebook groups or on my Instagram, not on my feed, maybe on someone else's feed, this felt so good. Like
Mm.
that's success. Like building that level of connection, that's success.
Yeah,
Instead of like, oh, I have 5 new followers, who cares?
yeah, exactly. And it's like, just based on that number, what does that tell you really? Because I mean, this is especially true for like email, that you like pay for everyone who's like on your email list. And then comes the question of like, do I purge the people who are inactive? And then some people make this into like this whole ego trip that, oh, no, because like then my numbers are gonna drop and whatnot. And like, these people are not even opening your emails. Like,
Yeah,
why? It doesn't matter. It's like
yeah.
they don't care. They're just not that into you. Just let it
They're
go.
not into you. It's like a dating thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I actually recently purged my email list. I did like a little funnel just to like confirm. But yeah, I think it's like quality over quantity sort of thing. And I think that for me, at least, when I've gotten so obsessed about the numbers, not only do I stop growing, but I just lose track of like, what is my vision of success here? And
Mm.
when I focus more on the quality stuff and I'm just like doing my thing and publishing great episodes and doing things, that's when things just naturally grow. It's kind of like, it's like the universe's way of saying, no, you can't like focus too much on that, like,
Yeah.
because it's just, I'm not saying not to track the numbers, I'm just saying like that's not the only thing you need to track, and whatever you consider like success, right?
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so I'm gonna go through my word. So my word for 2021, I decided, is going to be magic.
Oh, nice. Please elaborate.
So that's the thing. Like, I was thinking about this and I was like, I just want to create something that feels not realistic. Like the other day, I was talking to a friend about this whole thing of like realistic. Like, we want things to be realistic in our life, like our goals and our, um, like for career or for personal goals. It's like, well, I want this and I'm going to get there through doing this, and it's like all this realistic, very like masculine, like
Mm.
ABC. And I feel like there's this whole other area of living, of like not unrealistic, but like unplanned things that just
Yeah.
happen, that sometimes we don't fully take advantage of them because we haven't planned for them, and we don't fully appreciate them because we're like, yeah, but that wasn't planned, so it doesn't count. And it's like, no, like that's magic. Like that's like that's the way that I don't know, just crazy things can happen.
Mhm.
And of course, we can plan for crazy things too, but sometimes it's even better when it's unplanned. So I just love this idea of like reaching my goals and then like even surpassing them, or just like reaching kind of new levels of being that I can't get there through like realistic thinking. It's just like a different side of the brain. It's almost like the left versus the right side.
Mm.
And I think a lot of it for me comes back to believing in myself, believing in like my work, believing in how I can help others, like just really coming back to this, like, how do I show up in my day to day when no one's watching, right? Like I'm alone in my office. I have my dogs out there, but they're sleeping. Like there's no one here, but like I get to be in a way, and that is so powerful. Like so many times we want the world to be like, yeah, you're doing it right, you know, we want that confirmation. It's like, no, I can give that to myself. So I
Yeah.
have like all these things I want to like practice being, and yeah, and then just lean into this unlimited possibilities, you know, like anything can happen, anything's possible, and just be like open and ready, and like ready to, that's the other part of like realistic, like it's almost very controlling, like it's like, oh well, things have to happen in this order, in this way,
Mhm.
and you cut yourself off from other things, and so it's like part of that work is just being open for other things, like just doing nothing, which is hard, but like being open. I'm open to new opportunities, to new ideas, to new things, and I don't need to hold on to like my plan because that feels safe.
Right.
So that sounds very philosophical, but
Oh, but I love it.
yeah, it totally applies to business though, for sure. Um, and I'm just ready for that. It's kind of like I'm done with having to be, I mean, I'm taking ownership, but I'm also so open to other forces, like help from other people, like
Mhm.
open things coming from outside, instead of me having to do it all by myself. It's like so much more work. Oh my God, it's so heavy, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
so yeah, so that's my word. I don't know how it's going to turn out. I mean, it even feels kind of weird to me. It's like, oh, how's that going to work? But it's like the same vibe within the word. It's like, okay, but stay open.
Yeah, yeah. But stay tuned for 2021.
Yes, stay tuned.
We're gonna revisit this slow conversation.
Yes, we will. We will. Don't worry. I will be sending you an email at the end of
Yes, yes,
November and being like,
yes.
hey, you see, remember that call?
Yeah, and I can almost guarantee you that there will be no roommate barging in. But I'm actually moving to another apartment, which is like a one bedroom, which I'm very excited about.
That's so cool.
I know. It was long overdue.
Yeah, lots of space to write your PhD and do that work.
No, 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 not a lot of space. That's something I can tell you because it is tiny but adorable, but tiny.
I meant mental space, maybe, not
Fine, that's
physical.
that's true. That's true. Yeah.
Cool. Well, this was so much fun. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So let's we'll sign off to the Facebook Live, and then anybody who's watching, this is going to become a podcast episode as well. And yeah, and I'll probably put it on YouTube as well. Might as well. We've got the video.
Yeah. That can't hurt.
Awesome. Well, thanks, UC. We'll talk
Thank you
soon.
for having me. Bye.
Bye.